Welcome back to the show. This is Right Wing Rico, and on the Single Boyfriend podcast. What we're going to talk about today is something that Candace Owens has brought to the attention of everyone. Again, this woman is a genius. She's brilliant. She's strong. Um, these are qualities that are going to be required in the days going forward. Apparently, what we're witnessing is what they call a hostile takeover. This happens when there's a power vacuum. When the main person is abruptly removed, now everyone is going to be staking claim to his throne, to his influence, and to his fortune. TPUSA was worth maybe over $100 million. The way this guy is now positioning himself by rewriting the WikiLeaks to say that he was the co-founder, he's putting it in there so that you legally will have to ask him of where money is being distributed to and who it goes out to. He's literally injecting himself into places where he was not before. His cowardly son, he lied about on stage and said he was covered in blood. The kid was already out of there as if he already knew what was going to happen. He didn't stick around to see if Charlie was going to be okay. He wasn't a friend of Charlie. These people work for the people that butter their toast. They work for the Zionists. And when Charlie went against the Zionists, these people all jumped ship and they went with who was going to keep the money flowing. Apparently, he even got a $250,000 donation that same night that Kirk was killed. So when they said that he was on the phone call, who was he scouting for? Who wanted confirmation that he was gone? And who rewarded him after? Again, this is a hostile takeover. And I'm starting to think that this is infighting. I don't think that Erica Kirk, who's also the enemy, I don't think that whoever's controlling her was expecting these other men around Charlie to be this bold and ambitious. See, typically you would expect them to be afraid of the consequences, but this is their chance. This is his chance to solidify his son's place in TPUSA and secure his future, make sure he's rich. But this is also to make sure that they have a position and control and they can have some protection. These people are making their move, and this is a hostile takeover. I'm going to let Candace go ahead and break this down for you.
All right, you guys, where to begin? Well, the Turning Point USA Wikipedia entry got a very interesting update the night after Charlie Kirk was murdered. A certain someone was mysteriously added to the entry for the first time ever, listed as a co-founder of one of their divisions. That's interesting. I wonder who. Also, I was a bit taken aback. I was obviously away in Wyoming when President Trump honored Charlie Kirk with his very own holiday as a posthumous birthday present. But I was a little taken aback that people really believe that that would somehow put an end to the conspiracies. It's supposed to be over now because look, Charlie Kirk Day. Okay, we'll see about that. And sticking with the Trump family, Don Trump Jr. has to something interesting that I thought of after the show yesterday that I wanted to share with you guys regarding Charlie as a child. Charlie was obviously an extremely gifted child, so much so that he was hyperactive. He was actually always hyperactive. That never went away. He couldn't sit down. He was never idle. He was always working. But he was so gifted that, of course, doctors immediately wanted to put him on ADHD medicine because, well, why is he so hyperactive? I want to jump back into the Turning Point USA story and tell you guys something that's been bothering me about Rob McCoy. Stick on him. Other than the fact that he lies and he proclaims to be a pastor, is the fact that less than 36 hours after Charlie died, less than 36 hours, exact time at 10:34 p.m. Eastern on September 11th, the Turning Point USA Wikipedia received a rather interesting update. Pastor Rob McCoy, who had previously never been featured on their Wikipedia page, somehow got his own heading. Just amazing. Let's check out that fresh entry now. It reads, Rob McCoy and Charlie Kirk founded Turning Point USA Faith, TPUSA Faith, together along with being a Pentecostal pastor in the Calvary Chapel Association of TPUSA Faith, aligned with the Christian right. McCoy inspired Kirk to amalgamate Christianity and social conservatism. During the COVID-19 pandemic, McCoy was known for speaking out against prohibitions on the holding of in-person church services. Now, the hardest part of being me is that I came up through Turning Point USA, so I just know these lies so quickly. Okay, no, Rob McCoy was not the person who inspired Turning Point USA Faith. Actually, if anybody could be credited with that, that was like way back in the day at Liberty University. Actually, those pastors, those conversations, I was there for that. We should do like a faith division, whatever it is. He didn't inspire it. And what's so interesting about that entry is that when you then click it, this is how you know this is absurd. When you click the actual notations that are there, when it says he's the co-founder, what are you talking about? Since when is he the co-founder? And also says that he was the chairman. When you click it, that article, which they pretend is a note, hit the 54, Skylar, not 55, okay? That's from November 24th, 2024. That's their justification for saying he was a founder. Nowhere in that article does it say that he's a founder or the chairman. Nowhere. They just put a fake article, a real article that never said this. And they're like, oh, now it's sourced. It's here forever because nobody ever does their homework. And we're Wikipedia. So you can't question this, obviously. And then you can see the second citations that are used. The dates of them, September 10th, September 2025. So it's...
This was strategically done. The key factor to remember is that right now, TPUSA is in a very vulnerable state. They went through all the trouble of working to get Charlie Kirk removed, and they've all kind of stayed on script. Now, someone is making a move for power and control. See, the thing about a scam like this is that there is no one around to say that it's not true. But then again, there's no way to prove that it isn't true. And now there's a Wikipedia listing, and there's going to be questions. And they're going to say, well, he was on the board and he was this and he was that, but nothing was in concrete. There's no contracts. But if TPUSA or Erica Kirk makes this a big deal, everyone will know that there is weaknesses and there's fissures in the TPUSA organization. And then literally the entire situation over there could melt in a matter of days. So they can't even come out publicly and denounce it and say it's not true, because now it's going to be a public rift. To do this the next day, but say you love the man and you didn't have, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you could have just been overly ambitious and just saw your opportunity. But typically to make a move like this means this is something you've been thinking about and you've been planning. But he's a healthy man. Why would you have ever planned on him not being here suddenly? Why would you have been thinking about this and planning? This, as far as I was concerned, this happened abruptly. It seems like for some people, they had a heads up that something was going to happen to Charlie, and they are making their move right now.
Brand spanking new, you guys. Still has tags on it. Less than 36 hours later. Now, you might be thinking, trying to justify that, as I was, you might be rationally wondering.
That means his body wasn't even cold yet. That means we were all still in shock on September 11th. And instead of this man mourning or caring to speak out to his congregation, he's trying to find ways to update Wikipedia to add himself in a position that he didn't hold. To be a co-founder, he's actually creating a position that he didn't hold. He's going for power. He wants to be consulted and he wants to have say-so on where that fortune is placed. But he knows too much. If him and his son had prior information that a move was going to be made against Charlie, TPUSA would be wise to not challenge him on this and to give him whatever he wants. Because for the time being, he literally knows where the bodies are buried. If him and his son had anything to do with this, this is how men take power. You use leverage. You use your mind and you become strategic. This was a one in a lifetime opportunity to get to where you want to go. This tragedy, what do they always say? Never let a good tragedy go to waste. This was a once in a lifetime opportunity. This man took it and put his own son in position to go further. And if TPUSA tries to stop him or says anything bad against him, if they do know something and they make it public, everything blows up. See, right now, like I keep saying, the Zionists are panicking. They're scared. To make such a drastic move on someone like Charlie Kirk publicly. I mean, listen, when you watch, I'm going to do another video after this. Apparently, there were Egyptian military members magically in Provo, Utah on the same day. It sounds like they called in contractors that do assassinations from another country. That way you don't have to worry about them speaking English, leaking to the press, telling on themselves. They literally flew in that same day and somebody took off that same night on the plane they came in with. And for all we know, the men that came in, they could still be in the country or they could have took commercial flights to different places and they're already back home by now. But maybe they didn't think the investigation was going to be this deep. But there's a reason Kash Patel blocked the counterterrorism head from doing a foreign investigation to see if there was any foreign actors involved in Kirk's assassination. We are going to get there. But right now, we're going to talk about the WikiLeaks updates, who this pastor is, the father of McCoy, and how they were all in on this, and how no one's going to say anything against him making this power move because he knows too much.
Well, look, there was a lot of interest in Turning Point USA following this assassination. Maybe there wasn't any mention of Turning Point Faith at all. And maybe what they did was afterwards, Wikipedia editors went in there and wanted to just break apart every part and speak about Turning Point USA and dedicate more thorough research to the various projects that Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk were working on. So they included a new tab about Turning Point Faith. If you're wondering that, that's fair. But the answer to that musing is no. Actually, there already was a long-standing section on the Wikipedia website regarding Turning Point Faith on Wikipedia. In fact, that section is still available if you just scroll down. And it kind of conflicts with the new section that was added 36 hours later. It makes it clear that Charlie Kirk founded TPUSA Faith alone. Here it is in 2021. Charlie Kirk founded TPUSA Faith, an organization that says it is dedicated to recruit pastors and other church leaders to be active in local and national political issues. The organization promotes a culture war agenda and is intended to attract supporters among religious conservatives. Its activities include faith-based voter drives and educating members on TPUSA core values. Now, you can keep reading here. There's no mention of McCoy. So what this means practically is that when Charlie Kirk was alive, that is what the Wikipedia read. And then he died, and suddenly somebody in the world said, well, what about Rob McCoy? Let's add Rob McCoy, who is not known worldwide. Okay, this is even before the memorial event. So you could maybe go, oh, well, maybe once he hit the stage and said, I'm Charlie's pastor, somebody went in there and added it. I don't know, guys. My question is, who made that update? Who was rather...
Let's look at this. Since Charlie Kirk has passed away, how many names that we've never heard of are now magically in our mouths and in our faces? For one thing, I never heard of Erica Kirk until he died. No one cared about who she was. I know her from being a pageant winner and from the Romanian Angel scandal years ago. Then there was all of a sudden this man who looks like the creepiest vampire villain from every movie named Josh Hammer. He has the voice of Ben Shapiro and the face of Jafar from Aladdin. Magically, he's showing up on Australian news stations. He's a commentator, all of a sudden since Charlie Kirk passed away. He was in the thread, that message thread where Kirk said he was no longer going to be a Christian Zionist, where he denounced Israel and said they were basically they're equating to all of their stereotypes. But then also now this guy, Rob McCoy. These were all unnamed nobodies. And you know, one thing about jealousy is when somebody around you has the light on them and you're just in the shadows, that creates a lot of envy. That creates a lot of envy. And when you're the one in the light, you're not realizing how many people around you are looking at you with hate in their eyes. And if they can take a shot at the throne and take your place, they will. You know, the way it works with a lot of people, they don't want to build themselves up. They want to watch somebody else build themselves up and then be able to walk up, put one in their head, and then put their skin over theirs and just become them all of a sudden. They want to take what's yours. They want to take what you built. I mean, we see this story time and time again. Corporate takeovers is a normal thing. Think about it. How do you think Facebook got to where it is? I know we all seen the movie about Mark Zuckerberg and how the social network and how he got there. He had to stab all of his friends in the back. They didn't die, but it's literally the equivalent. When you're dealing with something worth so much, for you to think you're going to go out there and create your own, it's pretty much going to be impossible because you don't have what it takes. But if there's somebody around you who does, and if you can find a way to just get them out of the way and take his position and just step into his shoes, a lot of people are willing to take that, to make that, to go for it. They have enough drive and ambition for that. They don't have the strength to go put the work in, but to step into your shoes and try to set you up, they'll happily do it. That's what Candace is describing, which is what's happening at the TPUSA right now. And the only reason why they're not going to publicly come out and denounce McCoy is because the McCoys know what really happened to Kirk, or they know something about it. They know that it wasn't just a clean, that some random gay kid that's a heavily autistic named Tyler Robinson. No, 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 no. This was a professional job. Even the cleanup job was professional. It was so professional that even McCoy kept his dark black shades on the whole time. Just like the contractors in the security company that whisked Charlie away and then have a drop of blood on him. Just like they said he's covered in blood. He wasn't even there when he was gone before the body hit the ground. With all the lies going on, and we're tearing it apart, and they don't want us to do it. So we're going to keep making content. We're going to keep our feet on their neck. We're going to hold them to the fire, and the truth eventually will come out. Why Egyptian special forces were in Provo, Utah, magically all of a sudden on that day and then gone that same day, we're going to get to the bottom of that too. Let's continue.
Instructed to make that update, because I can tell you how it works for big companies. I was actually desperately looking for a text from Charlie because I know he told me that they, Turning Point USA's organization, had found a guy that could help clean up the Wikipedia pages, right? There are people that do this full time and they're paid by bigger organizations to clean up their Wikipedia pages, because I remember, and I still have the messages when we first had our pages, which were made by Wikipedia editors, and they were horrific. They said terrible things about us. It was like, Candace is a racist, white nationalist, a crazy person who hates BLM and she hates women, you know, the whole gamut that you're getting right now about me. And we were horrified when we looked at our Wikipedia pages. And then some time passed and someone within the organization had found a person who could clean up our Wikipedia pages. Charlie told me, and I cannot remember who that individual was. It'll come to me. It will actually come to me. But I'm just interested. Do you guys think that some random person got inspired to include a whole heading of Rob McCoy 36 hours later? What do you guys think?
Well, what I think is that's just step number one. I'm sure paperwork is being drafted and amended, and there's no way for you to prove that Charlie Kirk didn't sign some of these documents, but there's no way for you to prove that he didn't. There's going to be so much confusion. The waters are going to be so muddy that they are going to have no choice but to negotiate with the McCoys, because this is going to be drawn out. And like I said, if anybody finds out there's any rifts in the TPUSA management, then it's over. The funding's going to dry out. They're going to be discredited, and the Zionists are going to move on to another organization. So they have to show unity. They're going to have to negotiate with the McCoys. And I'm pretty sure that Wikipedia is only one thing. I'm pretty sure that they're now creating websites, and they're going to put, oh yeah, I was a co-founder. My son was, Charlie said that if anything ever happens to him, that he wants my son to be the head of this and the head of that. And there's no way for anybody to prove Charlie didn't say it because he passed away so young. He didn't have a will. That he didn't see it coming, but these people around him, they knew it was coming, which is why in such a short amount of time, 36 hours is damn near the same day. You went to sleep after having all this tragedy, woke up and just decided to go in there and make these adjustments. They knew this was going to happen. Eventually, we're going to be able to prove it. But until then, we're going to keep building our case, and we're going to make sure the public is aware of where this is going.
I don't even think they had even yet announced that Erica Kirk was the chairman and the CEO 36 hours later. Like, that seems that early. Less than 36 hours, I should say, to be very clear, less than 36 hours later. I don't even think Charlie's body had returned back to Arizona. And yet somebody was dedicated to Rob McCoy lying. And
yeah, she's right. His body, actually, the autopsy that we're never going to know about and that they blocked from the public apparently took place 2 days later. So that's less than 36 hours. And then after that, immediately, JD Vance was magically flying his body on Air Force Two back to Arizona. All of this is just weird. And it's very suspicious that JD Vance and Trump and his family are not more suspicious about what happened. Because if they can easily cover up Kirk, then they can cover up you too. That's why it'd be in your best interest. But if you're afraid of what you're going to find out, if you're afraid of what's really happening, then I guess that'll keep you quiet. But if that's the case, then that means we don't have our own country no more. We're literally being held hostage by someone. What are we going to do about it? Can we do anything about it?
Claiming, this person who typed this, that he was the founder, the co-founder, Charlie's pastor. No, he wasn't. The founder of TPUSA Faith, the inspiration behind TPUSA Faith. No, he wasn't. He was one of the advisors put on the board of advisory for TPUSA Faith. I know that he gets paid by TPUSA Faith, upcoming pastor summits where they're going to teach other Christian Zionist pastors how to use the Bible as a shield for their political ideas.
Silly me. I thought all this was volunteer work for people that just want to help the country or believe in God. I didn't know this much. I didn't know this much money was flowing around all these institutions. I thought literally we were just talking to people and speaking about God and showing the connection between God and country, where we can explain to young people that they want to live a certain way, but they also want to be patriotic and uphold the values of our founders. I'm thinking this is just charity work that people are doing on a weekend. I did not know that hundreds of millions of dollars was flowing into TPUSA, and they're going on these college tours and giving out hats, and he's debating gays and blacks, which is important because gays and blacks are poisoning a lot of the minds of our society. That's literally bringing down the country. It's literally a civil war between those two groups, which have combined, versus traditional conservative straight Americans. I appreciate the work they're doing. I'm thinking it's all volunteer work. I did not know how much money was in influencing all these people in data mining. I didn't know. Charlie or somebody should have advised him that when you're dealing with that kind of money and that kind of influence and that much power, someone's going to come try to take you out. Someone's going to want to take your place. You need heavy security. You got to be careful where you go. There's people around you who are gunning for you. And you're out here in public, letting strangers, people who you know, put devices on you. You think it's a microphone. It's not a microphone. It's not a microphone. I don't care what nobody says. There was no bullet. Something made his shirt jump up and it hit him in his throat. This was not a shot. This was not, we've seen 1,000 of them. This is America. A lot of us go hunting, and we've seen people in the hood do hunting. We've seen gore. That's not what it was. And he let these people mic him up. And none of these people at one time took off their shades to get a better look at his injury, to see what they can do to stop the bleeding. If anything, they laid him on the side of his body where the blood was coming out, like they wanted it to pour out into a cup. You should have rolled him on his other side and applied pressure. There should have been blood on everybody. There wasn't. There should have been an ambulance on the site. There should have been a EMT tent, because with a crowd of that size legally, there has to be an emergency team there in case somebody passes out or whatever. None of those protocols were in place. It just seemed like this was a scripted movie. It seems like everybody was on stand down mode thinking, oh, this is just a simulation. This was just a practice run. I just wish that Charlie would have not been so trusting with all these monsters around him.
Now it says right here in the Bible, unfollow Tucker Carlson. There's no other way that we could understand Paul's letter to the Corinthians other than to unfollow Tucker Carlson.
No, she's absolutely right. These faux Christians are now saying because Tucker Carlson had a conversation with anyone. Bro, do you know how many people get mad at me because I have conversations with people they don't want me to talk to? I tell them to go to hell because, for one thing, nobody censors my speech. Nobody tells me who I can or cannot talk to. I have family members right now that are mad at me because I talk to other family members. I would tell them to go fuck themselves. I'll tell anybody that. I'll have a conversation with anyone. Whether, I'll be honest, I like conversations with people who I don't agree with their views. I want them to sway me because maybe there's things I haven't thought of. Maybe I should be more understanding of where they're coming from. I enjoy those conversations. I prefer those conversations. One thing about me, I'm annoyed by echo chambers. I don't need everybody around me to agree with me and kiss my ass. I'm not a narcissist. I don't need. That's fine. I know that that's not. I don't need that. I want to be challenged. I want to hear what you think. One thing I enjoy Nick Fuentes so much and love seeing him with the conservative twins. I like, and then I'm wondering, why are you so afraid of Candace and Nick and Dave Smith and Kirk? I mean, they were afraid of Kirk, and look at him. They were afraid. And now they want everyone to cancel Tucker Carlson. But see, Tucker and Candace are not like Charlie. Charlie was out in public. Candace is tucked away in her compound. Tucker's way out in the forest. Good luck trying to get him. We're going to have to fight this movement online because in person it's just too dangerous. There's too many people that are wild cards, and you don't know who to trust anymore. You just don't.
That's the vibe I'm getting, the direction that Turning Point was going into. And Rob McCoy was definitively going to benefit financially from that. But founder? Since when? Anyways, now let's turn our attention to other allies. President Donald Trump. Of course, we have to arrive here because Charlie really loved Donald J. Trump. Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I love Trump too. But, when you love someone too much, you develop a blind spot and you can't really see them for who they are or what they're saying. And you're not paying attention to them. And you have to be careful. You have to keep your wits about yourself. You have to keep your guard up at all times. You never know who's plotting against you. Listen, that was just a quick episode. It was 28 minutes. Like and subscribe, share the video. I just wanted to do this breakdown so I could send it to some of my friends who didn't get to watch these whole episodes. I want to break down and do pieces of them, and we do a recap. But this is what we call in the real world a hostile corporate takeover. And nobody's going to really be able to stop the McCoys because if these McCoys know too much, they have leverage. And it'd be in TPUSA's worst interest to try to challenge them. These men have ambition. This man wanted to put his son in position. They made their move. So the ball's in the court of TPUSA. Let's see what happens next. Right-wing Rico, the single boyfriend, shared a video. I would leave my Cash App, but they just magically suspended it. So I'm not doing any super chats or anything. You can just donate to me via PayPal. It's in my description. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again shortly.